moment, right? Like I said, I've been eating for more than 65 years. I've only been posting for food, about food for about 11 or 12 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. But it all started with a glazed donut. And this was in Joplin, Missouri, back in 2011, I believe. I had a young man by the name of Ishmael Samano qualified for the national championships in Joplin, Missouri. And Sammy, we call him Sammy, he loved to be at races early. All right. And it was a very cold morning. The coffee at the hotel was not good. So Sammy wanted to be on the course 3 hours early. Now, we don't normally show up to a course more than, if we show up 90 minutes before, that's pretty early. And so Sammy was just going to sit in a tent with these heaters and I don't know, visualize. He couldn't get out on the course for a while. And I told, I something I never do, but I did this time. And I said, Sammy, I'm dropping you off and I'm going to go find some coffee. So I dropped off Sammy and drove to the intersection we had just come through. I had to make a choice. I'd already been to the left. I could have gone straight, but I went right. I went right and I went down the road a little bit. And about a half mile, maybe, no, it's probably further than that. I saw a sign on my left-hand side, and that would be picture number one. That would be it right there. That would be the donut hole. That would be the donut hole. I don't know if the picture's not that good. You can see glazed donuts, 2 for $1. 2 for $1. And that picture is not from 2011. That picture is from last year. And there's still 2 for $1. Well, I'm not only a good eater, I'm also cheap. And when I saw the sign said 2 for $1, I said, well, I don't care how bad they are, I gotta go in there and have one. So I have 2. So I went in, got 2 glazed donuts, got a cup of coffee, and this picture is from 2011 because I ate the first 2 and I ordered 2 more because they were hands down the best glazed donut I ever tasted in my life, ever. All right. I was blown away. And back then I was on Facebook, not on Facebook anymore, but somewhere probably in the history of the internet or whatever it's called. There's a post that at the end of it, I know it says something like, I have found the best glazed donut in America, suck it, Krispy Kreme. And that those words are somewhere back on Facebook. I know that. Not that I don't like Krispy Kreme. I can eat a box of Krispy Kremes. But I did say, suck it, Krispy Kreme, these are the best. And I kind of kept that to myself for a while, but I did put that on there. And now, I do have to say this. We all know food is very, very subjective, right? I may love it, you may hate it, right? And so I'm always hesitant about making reviews and things like that, or making suggestions, because you never know what people really like, or their taste may be different than yours. I'll give you an example of subjectivity. I'm going to take a little break here. An example of subjectivity. My son took his sister and her boyfriend and my grandson to New Orleans back in the spring, and meticulously planned food tour. And if you don't know anything about New Orleans, they're amazing restaurants, world-class restaurants, and expensive restaurants. And they went to many of them. They went to Commander's Palace. They went to Emerald Lagasse's restaurant. They went to Bouchon and all these places. And Z, my grandson, as a matter of fact, at one point he had to get dressed up. Let's see him. You can see Z. Yeah, so that's Z. He's 5 years old in that picture. He's 5 years old, trying to look 8. Because to get into Commander's Palace, you had to be 8 years old. All right. I don't know that he looks 8, but they let him in. So when Z got back, they all got back. I sat down with Z one day and I said, man, and he tried everything. He ate fish at Commander's Palace. He ate stuff at Emerald Lagasse's restaurant where they actually had the cook's table he was cooking. And I said, Z, what was the best food you had on that trip? what was the restaurant you love that you want to go back to? And he looked at me deadpan and said, Panda Express at the airport. I'm not opposed to that Panda Express, but that's subjectivity, right? He ate at some of the world's finest restaurants, and he liked Panda Express. So that's an example of subjectivity when it comes to food. And so my feeling about this glazed donut that I was so enamored by, I wanted to validate that. I wanted to validate that I actually had tasted the best glazed donut in America. So the next year, it happened. Joplin is odd, or not odd, but it's Joplin and Pittsburgh, Kansas are pretty close together. And Joplin has hosted nationals many times in cross country. Pittsburgh's hosted indoor track and field a number of times. So the next year, indoor nationals were in Pittsburgh, but a lot of teams stay in Joplin. And so one day I texted several friends and I said, be outside your hotel at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. We are going to have the best glazed donut in America. I hyped it up. I didn't say we're just going to go have coffee and a donut. I wanted people to show up, and I wanted them to have this expectation. So 6:30, I pulled up to the hotel where a number of my friends were staying, and they started getting in. An elderly gentleman who I did not know tried to get in. I asked him what was going on, and he said, "Is this the medical transport van?" I said, "No, it's not the medical transport." Said that maybe he didn't know, but says probably more about the people that were in the van, that we all looked like we could use some immediate medical attention. But we drove off through Web City and just north of Joplin, and went in. And obviously, there's some skepticism. It's like, glazed donut's a glazed donut. But they were, let's go and we'll talk, and we'll have a little coaches meeting. So I ordered 6. I think there was 6 of us, and I ordered 6, and came to the table, and we're all looking at them, and everyone got a donut, and there was not a word. And those donuts got eaten. And Scott Waukesha, the coach at Black Hill State at the time, said, order some more. And we ordered 6 more. And they went. And we ordered 6 more. And they went. And every single person at that table said, this is the best glazed donut I have ever tasted. In fact, Scott and I ran into each other at donut places all over the country. I could tell a whole bunch of stories about Scott. But Scott, the meet was over on Saturday. Sunday morning, Scott drove to Web City to take a dozen home with him. He got there and he found out they're not open on Sundays. He was crushed. But that validated to me that I had indeed found the best glazed donut in America. So, as a matter of fact, 3 weeks ago, we were in Joplin again. Now, we didn't get to I did not get to take my team to the glazed donut place because of the timing of the race. We weren't there in the morning, and we left town before. So, but I did have a coach from Mississippi come up to me at the meet and tell me, Coach, you weren't wrong about those donuts. So it's spread. The next couple of years later, I was asked by the NCAA track and field committee, which indoor was again in Pittsburgh, and they asked me to bring 2 dozen donuts from Joplin to the registration, and I did that 3 mornings in a row. I brought donuts to Pittsburgh from Joplin. So trust me, if you're ever in Joplin, take a little side trip to Web City and have the donut hole. All right. Now, over the years, I've kept lists. Right? I keep lists. I have a lot of lists. Lists of food, lists, right? And my donut list is pretty extensive. I didn't just write this list for this talk. Let's see here. I took this off my refrigerator behind my office. This is my donut list, right? And it's got the donut hole, Bob's Donuts. Oh, Bob's Donuts are really good too, not just because of Bob's. But in Los Angeles, in the Grove Marketplace, Bob's Donuts, Duck Donuts, Heavenly Donut Company in Birmingham, who's donuts in Santa Fe? They're really good. Mr. T's Donuts in Modesto, California, Voodoo Donuts, Rebel closed, right? Yummy's Donut House, Sandy's Donuts, that's in Grand Rapids. Oh, there's so many great donut places. All right, I know this. But you know what, and it's really funny. One of my photos that has like, I didn't put it on there. It's the simplest, smallest little bakery. It's called the Bakery Plus. It's a Vietnamese. It's got like over 35,000 views. It's in Orlando. It's kind of next to Disneyland. I don't know. Maybe people are looking for a place to go for coffee and donuts before they go to Disneyland, and so they check it out. But that one always interests me. Why it has so many. All right, that was a really long time to talk about a donut. So, any questions about donuts?
Do you only ever try glazed?
All right, so there is a method, right? Yes, to me, the glazed is the test. Glazed, and then I'll have a Boston cream that goes available because I love Boston cream, not the whipped cream ones, but the cream ones. And then if they make cake donuts, I will get a chocolate cake donut. So, and those are the three that I go to most often, but the test is the glaze, right? Just managed. Yeah.
I mean, what makes it so good is it the consistency?
Yeah,
of it?
so I'm not.
Like, get into the nitty.
Yeah, of the donut, all right, so it's that, you know how Krispy Kremes are kind of, you bite them and they're a little melty in your mouth? This has a little pull, and I don't know what, I'm not a food reviewer, I love to cook, but I can't tell you what the hell's in a recipe. You know, is there fennel in the sausage? I don't know. But I don't know what ingredient it is. There's something in there because it tastes different than the other one. Not extreme. So, but the consistency, it's got the perfect size and shape, and it just is really heavenly. All right. Yeah, and some places aren't. Some places are not good at a good glazed donuts. All right, donuts. All right, we'll move on from donuts. Move on to donuts. You know, when I thought about this talk, and Julie asked me what I wanted to do, and I came up with this idea. I started doing some math, and this may blow you away, it may not, but I tried to figure how many miles I have traveled coaching, and I came up with a figure of like 370,000 miles. That counts practice, that counts flying to conventions and going to national, but all together. And I started thinking that's like really impossible. So I did it again, and yeah, so somewhere between 320,000 miles and 370,000 miles that I have traveled representing New Mexico Highlands University, coaching teams from New Mexico Highlands University. And you know, everywhere I travel, I eat. Imagine that, right? But it hasn't always just been about donuts. We do have the picture. There's a picture I do want to share here because sometimes when we go to practice, there are donuts. So this would be Johnson Mesa. So a couple of people in this room are in that picture. That's the top of Johnson Mesa. And if you made it all the way to the top, you could have some daylight donuts and some Sunny D. Sunny D. All right. She's still learning. She's not here. Her sister's there. There's that guy. There's that guy, John Hall. He's there. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do have donuts at times for practice. All right. And they're almost always daylight donuts. I can't have the lights off because I can't read my notes. All right. Now, again, all my travels, I eat because we all eat. But donuts are one thing. The next thing that has really captured my attention over the years, barbecue's one, but is oxtail. All right, oxtail, Jamaican oxtail. I had never, and if you've never had oxtail, next time you have an opportunity, seek it out, try it. I had never had it. First lady that I had that qualified for indoor nationals, the Jamaican by the name of Angela Graham. She would go on to be a 10-time All-American. And she qualified for nationals in 2000 and must have been 2009 or so. Now, I didn't post anything about this. This was before my posting days. But Angela, I asked Angela what she wanted. She was in the pentathlon, she was in the high jump, she was in the triple jump, she was in the long jump. Night before the pentathlon, I asked her, what do you want? Can we find some Jamaican food? I was like, yeah, I'm sure Houston's a big place. So I found a Jamaican restaurant. We drove to, sat down and asked her, what should I have? And she pointed to the menu and she said, have that. And it said, round the yard, not around the yard, round the yard. And I said, what's round the yard? She said, well, whatever you have around the yard. You know, you got chicken, you might have a cow, you got a goat. It's a little bit of everything, right? Round the yard, all right? And so I had round the yard, and I had some curry goat, I had some jerk chicken, and I had some oxtail. And I had never had oxtail. And I will tell you, it was almost like it was good. All right? It was really, really good. And since then, I always seek out good Jamaican restaurants. I have Jamaican athletes, and oftentimes they ask to go to Jamaican restaurants if they're available. And people that aren't Jamaican tend to enjoy it as well. Jerk chicken is really good. But Angela is the one who got me hooked on seeking out oxtail in Houston with indoor nationals in probably 2009. So in 2015, I found the best oxtail, in my opinion, in America. This team, 2015, it was a great team. They got third at the indoor and outdoor national championships. Okay. There were several girls from Jamaica, and they go from New York, a girl from Ghana. This young lady still works here at Highlands, Kristen Montano. She's Las Vegas Robertson graduate. And this group, but they all enjoyed Jamaican food except for Kristen. When we went to Jamaican, I took her to the chicken place down the street. So the first night we're there, we seek out Jamaican food. We go to a place called Tropical something or other. And if you've ever been to a Jamaican restaurant, they can be slow. And guys cook. As a matter of fact, one of our girls went behind the counter and started helping cook. And so I'm standing outside, and the guy's doing the jerk chicken on the grill outside, and I'm talking to him. And this little old man walks by, and he doesn't look at me, he just says, it's better down the street. You know, it's better down the street. So better down the street where, sir? Southern Caribbean. And he just keeps going. So the Jamaican restaurant was pretty slow. So I get in the van, I go down the street about half a mile, and I see Southern Caribbean. Southern Caribbean, it's in an abandoned gas station. One half turned into a liquor store, the other half turned into a restaurant that doesn't look like much. It's got bars on the windows, but I said, okay, if it's better down the street, we're gonna try it. So the next day, we go to Southern Caribbean. And we go in and everybody orders, waiting around, everybody's getting their names, and food starts coming out, and there's a plastic bag. Cody, said Cody wasn't there. Yeah. Jalissa, Destiny, Denisha, and then I'm like, where's my food? And then my food comes out, and she just kind of nods. And she gives me my bag, and you can see this is what was in my bag. Can you read that? If you can't read it, it says white guy oxtail. I was the only white guy in the store. I was the only, so I was easily identifiable, white guy upstairs. And I didn't take any offense. I did not take any offense. I still go to Southern Caribbean. Miss Emma still cooks at Southern Caribbean. She no longer calls me white guy. She calls me Coach White Guy. And the food there, it's the best oxtail I've had anywhere that I've been. And I've had oxtail all over, traveling with teams from New Mexico Island University. All right, so yeah, so white guy oxtails. Now, as years have gone on, I've become kind of, I'm not, it's gonna sound like I'm bragging, but I'm not, I've become kind of go-to guy for a lot of my friends, family, other coaches, people that are traveling, you know, they'll ask me, I'll get a text that says, hey, I'm in Denver. Where's the best burger? Cherry Cricket, by the way. Or I'm in Dallas, you know, where's the best burger? The best burger in Dallas is at this place, Keller's. There's a picture of that burger. Isn't that a good looking burger? It's a beautiful picture too, right? I started getting better at taking pictures. That's Keller's Burgers in Dallas. So, or you know, or hey, what's good to eat in Lubbock? And I text back breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and then I make I'll give them a choice. What's the best pizza in Phoenix? I say, don't go to Pizza Bianco, which appears on everybody's list of the best pizza in the United States. Some people call it the best pizza in the world. It's really good. If you have 3 hours and $40 for a 12-inch pizza. And they don't serve pepperoni, so they're going to give them pepperoni on their pizza. No, you go to Pizza A Metro. Okay, if you're in Phoenix, go to Pizza A Metro. Really, really good and about half the price. Jim might know pizza places, but I get those things all the time. Sometimes I'll volunteer. I know Cody was taking a trip back east, and I like volunteered like about 100 places, and he's been to a lot of them. So sometimes I overshare when it comes to those, but I like to give people choices. Now, when we travel, it's not always easy, you know, to find places to feed 20, 30 people. Some coaches like to feed their teams at the same place all the time. You know, Applebee's or Chili's or Olive Garden. I'm not a fan of any of them. As my team knows, I'm not a fan of any of them. I'm not a fan. All right. But sometimes out of necessity, you kind of have to. My good friend Matt Morris coaches at CSU Pueblo. I think he knows every Applebee's from here to California. Right. His team eats at Applebee's all the time. Now, if you like Applebee's, great. If you like Chili's, great. But I don't think anybody ever says, like when they're thinking about traveling or when they think back to a trip, oh my God, that burger remember that burger at Applebee's in Orlando? Personally, I don't think so. But I will say this, I have taken advantage of Matt's propensity to go to Applebee's a couple of times. We've had, there's been a couple of times where our restaurant hasn't necessarily worked out and we're in a pinch, and I know there's an Applebee's a mile down the road. And so I think some of these guys were on that last time we did this, we pulled up to Applebee's, we went in, I said, we're the track team, because I know Matt Morris is gonna make the reservation at that Applebee's. They don't ask me, are you CSU Pueblo? I just say, we're with the track team. Oh yeah, we're all ready for you. 15 minutes later, CSU Pueblo, I hope Matt's not listening. CSU Pueblo comes in and they're like, I can see Matt, he's very agitated. And I go over and I say, what's going on? They told me our tables would be ready. Now they're saying it's going to be an hour. I'm sorry, coach. So, I've done that to him twice. I've done that to him. Now, a lot of times, my teams will eat someplace or 2 or 3 places. I like to give the teams options, and I don't eat. And I think some of my team thinks I don't eat. But the truth is, I make sure everybody gets their food. I make sure everybody's good. And then I go and find where I want to be, right? And I trust them to stay in the rooms, and I don't have to be watching them. I'll go and find places I want to. And a lot of those places are barbecue. My barbecue list. Okay, I have an extensive list of barbecue places. Over the years, traveling both with Highlands and traveling with my wife and my family, I've eaten at over 135 barbecue places. Some ones that, if you follow barbecue, you know, world famous or nationally famous places. And I'm not talking about chains. I do eat at Rudy's, I've eaten at Dave's, I've eaten at you know, those kind of places. They're all good. I mean, there's really not bad barbecue, but I like to eat at places that are local. And so I have a list, another list I think I'm gonna share with Cody. I've got a top 10, top 25, top 50. And then after about top 50, I stop rating. Then it becomes other places I visited, and just so that I can keep them in my mind. I've taken my team to barbecue places. I've taken my team to Tyler's in Amarillo. If you happen to go to Tyler's, we got a picture of this may be the first one. That is a perfect plate barbecue right there. Look at those ribs, Texas toast, couple slices of brisket, beach cobbler, corn chowder, $15. $15 a time. I can feed a team that all day long. Now, we don't necessarily eat that before, we gotta eat that after. But Tyler and I have become friends. And Tyler has made a lot of national lists as one of the top 50 barbecue places in the country. And Tyler used to, back in the days when my buddy Cliff would drive for us and we had the bus that had the under storage, Tyler would send me home with wood, his mesquite and oak, and we would go to the back and we would load up mesquite and oak, and I would bring it home and use it in my smoker. You know, so I really like Tyler's. We've gone to E.B. Bays, which is kind of new. They've been around for about 10 years, but I know that my team's looking forward to going back. E.B. Bays, it's outside of Lubbock, and the lines are long, the food is really good, right? The food is really good, but if you're of age, and I don't think any of my team did, but if you're of age, you can get a free Lone Star beer in the line while you're waiting, because the lines can be pretty long. Last spring, I took a group to Little Miss Barbecue in Phoenix, one of my top 5 places in the United States. We've been to Penguin Heads, just if you are ever in Kansas City, you know, Kansas City, Memphis, Carolinas, Texas, of course, for barbecue. But the Z-Man sandwich at Joe's in Oklahoma City, Ole, go to the one in Ole. It's outside Kansas City a little bit, but that's the original one. It's in a gas station. And look at that sandwich. That is brisket with cheese, onion rings, a delicious sauce. Oh, man, that is a good freaking sandwich. There's only one sandwich that rivals that. That is the burnt ends melt at Four Rivers Barbecue in Orlando, Florida, where Andy and I were a couple of years ago. All right, Andy did not eat that, and as a matter of fact, Andy, when I ate the burnt ends melt along with some ribs and some brisket and probably some corn pudding and cornbread, and I know that tray was pretty big in front of me. You know what Andy had? Subway sandwich. But he was all American, and I just got fatter. Right. So this morning, just out of curiosity, I looked at several top 50 barbecue places in the United States, and I looked at USA Today, and I looked at travel and leisure, and food and wine. I looked at like 3 different lists, and I've eaten at between 20 and 25. One was 26. But 25 of the top 50 that normally show up on those lists. And so I've eaten good barbecue all over the country, and a lot of it because I coach at New Mexico Islands University. But some of the best barbecue that I've ever had, you know, is found in small places. We call them, what do we call them? hole in the walls, right? Hole in the wall. And I've been very lucky in my life to have a partner who doesn't mind seeking out hole in the walls. She has indulged my passion for barbecue somewhat. And she's always up for a food adventure. And that would be my wife, Liz. And let's see, Liz one would be, let's do that one. That's my beautiful wife who travels with me and doesn't mind eating barbecue 6 times in a 4-day trip. That picture is at Cafecito in Santa Fe. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's kind of hard to find. It's off Cerritos Road, kind of between Santa Fe Indian School and School for the Deaf. It's got Argentinian and Italian and Armenian. They make these papusas that are really, really good. That's Liz. Another picture of her. This is when we were, that would be the general store. There we go. She'll probably get mad at me for sharing that picture. That's Liz outside enjoying a Frito pie outside the Villanueva general store. All right. If you've never had a Frito pie at the general store in Villanueva, New Mexico, go there. It is the best Frito pie in New Mexico. Our team, we ate there a couple of years ago. We were on our way back from Las Cruces. We took the back roads just so we could stop there. And John, was it a good Frito pie? It is great. And to me, if it's the best Frito pie in New Mexico, it's got to be the best Frito pie in the country, because where else are you going to get a good Frito pie, right? So that's my wife Liz, and that's how we spend most of our vacations: food, sports, and more food. All right. Well, I'll tell you one time, I came home from practice, and I said, let's go have barbecue, and she said, well, okay, sure. Where? I said, Cloudcroft. 10 minutes later, we were on the road to Cloudcroft. 3.5 hours later, we were at Mad Jack's barbecue in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. In my humble opinion, the best barbecue in New Mexico. Okay, the guy who ran it came out, showed us the smokers. I always tend to make a good relationship with the owners or the pit masters of these barbecue places. And they end up showing me around their kitchen, showing me around their smokers. This guy worked at Franklin's Barbecue for a number of years. If you don't know anything about barbecue, Franklin's is one of the, it's always in the top 10 barbecue places in the country. And this guy's barbecue is right up there. Mad Jack's Mountaintop Barbecue, Cloudcroft, New Mexico. So, but my wife was 10 minutes later, we were out there. Didn't mind it was going to be a 8-hour round trip. All right. To go and get some barbecue. We've done some food tours, Liz and I. One food tour that we did was in Nashville, and let's see here. That would be more, okay. Yeah. So we drove to Nashville. Turned out to be a longer drive. We stopped in Bentonville because my favorite barbecue place in the whole country is in Bentonville, Smoking Joe's Rib House. Stopped there, and then we drove on. We stopped in Memphis, had barbecue 2 different places there. We got to Nashville. We did a food tour that had a barbecue place in there. And at one point, I get a text from Liz saying, "Where are you?" Everybody's waiting, and where I was Martin's Barbecue. Where I was, Martin's. Where I was in the back with Martin while he was prepared. Now, this looks a little disgusting. That's Martin preparing a pig, a whole hog for roasting, and that's what it looks like after he's done. And he was showing me exactly how he prepares the whole hog. Meanwhile, the rest of the food tour was outside waiting, and I was slowing things down. Just this past, we might want to take that picture off. I guess it's kind of disgusting. So just this past May, Liz and I were in LA, and we've gone to Poema to look at murals, and we're just driving down the street looking a lot of really interesting murals painted on the side of buildings. and she spotted a tamale shop on the street, and we went and ate there, and I found with an elote tamale, never, not elote in the tamale, elote like mixed into the masa. And I told Liz, man, when I open up my barbecue shop, when I open up my barbecue restaurant, I'm not serving cornbread, I'm serving elote tamales. And so anyway, more adventures, right? And you know, so I love traveling with Liz. Our adventure with our food, the way we eat food, I think has rubbed off on my kids too. Yeah, I get requests from my daughter all the time, you know, hey, I'm here, where should I eat? But they came back from a trip not long ago. It's pretty long ago. But they went with their grandparents to San Francisco. And they came back and said, how was the trip? They said, oh, it was good, it was good. And then my youngest said, but grandma and grandpa, they'll eat anywhere. They get hungry and they see a Wendy's, they pull in. They get hungry, you know, and we don't travel that way. We plan our food or we seek out good food. And I encourage you to do that. I really do. All right. So if you stuck with me this long, it probably means you want to know about turkey knuckles. Turkey knuckles are the best glazed donut in America. So I did the glazed donut. I want to talk about turkey knuckles. All right. First of all, does anybody know what they are? Anybody ever had turkey knuckles? Turkey knuckles are a little bit of thigh meat and bone and gristle and meat from the knee. What would be the knee of the turkey? Obviously, turkeys don't have fingers, and but so a little bit. So I'm a turkey. So a little bit of the thigh meat and the whole kneecap, right, or the knee of the turkey. Sounds disgusting, right? They are so good. They're so good, but you can only find them. I've only found them in one place, and I've only seen them, and I've searched online. I've only seen them in two places, and that is Southwest Michigan and the Deep South Alabama. And I don't know what the connection is there necessarily. So they started in Muskegon, and I found these the last time I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, for outdoor track and field nationals. Again, traveling, and you know, I tend to drive around places, I drive around neighborhoods looking for little hole-in-the-wall restaurants. And I went by this one day, it said Backdoor Barbecue. And got a picture of Backdoor Barbecue. And so Backdoor Barbecue doesn't look like much. And it was closed. It was closed the first day I went by, and I said, dang, that's exactly the kind of place I like to eat at. And so the next day, it was a little bit later in the afternoon, I went and I drove by again, and lo and behold, it was open, and I saw this guy. I saw this guy in the back, and I went back there, we had a long conversation. He talked to me about his rubs, he showed me his smokers, and I asked him, what's good? And he said, turkey knuckles. And I said, what the hell are turkey knuckles? And he told me just what I told you. And maybe not in that much detail, but he told me they were good. So I took him at his word. I got turkey knuckles, I got some ribs, I got some shoulder, I got a little bit of everything, and it was fantastic. But you cannot find turkey knuckles anywhere other than Western Michigan, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, that area. And like I said, I've seen them down south. I've seen them online down south. I can't say that they actually exist there. I haven't gone there. But this is one of the great food experiences of my life. Really tell you, turkey knuckles. Just, I bought so much food that I had to have a picnic. And that would be picnic for one. And so that's brisket, that's burnt-ins, and these are turkey knuckles. I ate that on the tailgate of a pickup truck that we rented, and I ate that in the parking lot of a YMCA. This is a very sad story, right? Picnic for one. I call that picnic. Yeah, I'm gonna start labeling my clothes like that. Picnic for one, right? But I ate all of that. All right, I ate all of that, and probably wanted more. But, so turkey, if you ever see turkey knuckles, don't be thrown off by the name. It's really good stuff. All right, so like I said at the beginning, I'm not a food critic. I only write stuff about places I like. I've been lucky to travel all across the country, both my family and a lot with New Mexico Highlands University. In the last year, a year and a half, I've been, if you took the four corners of the United States, I've practically been there. Thanks to the athletes that I have, thanks to the athletes who have qualified for nationals and taken me with them, right? Florida, I've been in Florida, I've been in Virginia, been in Seattle, been in LA, been all over Colorado and Texas. And so traveling as through Highlands really opened all this up for me, and I truly appreciate it. All right. Now I'm going to get a little bit serious here. It's about time to end, I think. Like I said, I'm an eater. All right. I'm not I don't know. I couldn't tell you what's in a recipe by tasting it. But what I do know is good food. I know good food because good food makes me happy, right? And if something makes you happy, if you eat a meal and you're happy, that's good food, right? If it makes you smile or makes you want to return, that's good food. That's good food, right? And so, most recently, the best food I had, I'm going to talk about this for a second because I want to give them a shout out. And some of you might go to Denver. There's a restaurant in Denver called Hey Kiddo. It's in the Lakewood area, Tennyson, and it's hard to find. There's not a sign. As a matter of fact, Liz and I drove up. We thought that the building had been demolished, and then finally we got out of the car and we saw a little thing. It's on the third floor. It's a kind of Korean fusion kind of thing, but they make this thing called Chef's Shaken Rice. Now we had pork belly and we had short ribs and we had a lot of stuff on the menu. It's not cheap, but it was really good. Liz said it's one of the best meals she's ever had in her life. I have to agree. But I want to talk about the shaken rice. So in Korea, when kids go off to school in the morning, their mother will give them what they have in the house, what they have and generally that's rice. Might be some kimchi, might be some other fermented vegetables, and they put this in a little tin, you know, a little bit bigger than two hands maybe. They put this in a tin, they put it in there nice and neat, and the kid goes in their backpack and they go running off to school. And then when lunch comes around, they open up the tin, and what has happened to the rice and the kimchi and the vegetables? They all mix. Well, at Hey Kiddo, they bring out this beautiful tin of rice and kimchi and then they close it, smack it, turn it over, boom, open it, and then they give it to you to eat, and it's delightful. It's delightful. And the story that goes with it, of the Korean children and their parents, to me makes it even more meaningful when you're eating it. And it's delicious. That's delicious. And that brings me back to how I want to kind of close things. Our community, New Mexico, northern New Mexico, you know, we've been through a lot over the last couple of years. You know, the devastating fires, flooding, people lost homes, and you know, I didn't grow up. My mom was not a good cook, all right, but my mother-in-law is a fantastic cook, and my wife is a fantastic cook. And in my time in New Mexico, and especially in northern New Mexico, I have learned to appreciate food as a much more indelible part of culture. And I think in our community here, we see that. And with the fires, I can't help but think of all the homes that burned, right? And the kitchens that burned. And sorry. and the families that would sit around, you know, the mother's table or grandmother's or whoever. Maybe the dad's cooking, waiting for breakfast in the morning. You know, I would tell you that my mother-in-law, she's a wonderful cook. But I can never figure out how it could take so long to cook potatoes in the morning. You know, and that little bit of lard, and it just takes forever. You know, when I cook potatoes, they're cooked, bam. But I tell you what, those fried potatoes and that fresh tortilla and green chili and sitting around and eating together. And we lost so much of that in our community here in northern New Mexico with these homes that burn and kitchens that burn. And my hope is that as people begin to rebuild and recover and they build new kitchens and maybe they have a cast iron pan that they were able to save, or maybe they get a new one. And then people will return to that, you know, return to that setting and make new memories about and food, about food, or let food be a part of that experience again. That's my hope for this community, and my job has allowed me to incorporate food into my life in a much more dramatic way than it ever has. And so I'm going to close there, and thank you for coming. And if there's any questions or anything, I'll be glad to answer it. You want to know where the best place to eat in Seattle is, I'll tell you. All right, thank you. Thank you. I forgot. I did forget to show a picture of my team meeting. This is some of these guys too. That's a Korean barbecue place. That's our version of sitting around the table. Everybody's cooking their own food. Everybody's cooking their own food and digging in. That's kind of our version of that communal table. So thank you again. What's that? You know, restaurants are really tough, right? So I don't know that I have that ability. I do think about it. I think people would enjoy my barbecue, but I don't know if that's something that's in my future.
Yes, we have a few more minutes. Do you have any questions for Coach Bob? Anyone on the chat? Not so far. Nothing in the room from the student athletes that are now good and hungry, along with the staff in the room.
Coach, do you eat to live or do you live to eat?
Food is a big part of what I do. Like, I mean, when I travel, and I seek out places to eat, or I find places, and when we travel, we're not just zap. We have a joke on the team about business trips. and so I'm a history teacher, right? And so I like to show people things that they might not otherwise see. And I believe that athletics extends far beyond the competition, right? And the experience of being a college athlete extends far beyond the competition and the training and growing as people. And so I appreciate doing those things with my team. And I appreciate that my teams indulge me and don't laugh at me when I overhype something like the blue whale or Katusi.
Says I enjoy your talk about food does much more than sustain life, combine people together and I think that is particularly true after people face very big challenges.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming.
sometime after homecoming on our YouTube channel. And so on the heels of Coach Bob DeVries' presentation,